The information provided on this podcast is intended to be educational and informational only and is not considered to be formal legal advice. The listener should not take or refrain from taking action based on its content. Any listener in need of legal opinion upon which to rely in decision-making should consider formally engaging an attorney to review relevant facts in detail and examine the pertinent law as it applies to those facts.
So, you've decided you want more out of your life. More than the 9 to 5. More than paycheck to paycheck. More than lifelong debt. But that leaves questions. Where do I go from here? What can I do without any money, connections, or experience?
Our goal is not only to provide you with answers to those questions, but also to motivate people in an authentic way, mentor people who don't have mentors, give back, and hear some inspiring stories along the way.
If you're not going to show people what's possible, who is? My name is Iler.
And I'm April Munson, and this is Ground Zero.
I love it. Nice to see you, April.
Good to see you too. So I wanted to say first, this is my third time doing this, and I think I want to do it a little different. I think I've been way too hosty, and I'm like, this time I'm just gonna be like, we're just gonna have a normal conversation, and it's like, no,
totally.
I really haven't had a script before, but I was like, it's just different. Like, you're a little out of your comfort zone, but it's fun. I love doing this. So, I guess, are you ready to just jump right in?
Absolutely. Should I be switched this way though? I love when I do the flip. I'm like, are you ready?
No matter what you do.
Yeah, awesome. I'm really excited. We're just gonna talk. That's what we basically did the other time. So I'm good to go.
Well, that's kind of what I'm learning. I started this whole thing off as doing these as discovery calls, because I was like, do I invite the person to talk and then see if they're a good fit? But then after I started doing that, I was like, so then do I need to send them another email and basically tell them to repeat everything they just said? Because everything that I've heard from everybody was perfect the first time, and there was really no need for hey, tell me everything. And by the way, let's do it all over again. So I feel kind of bad that I'm like, hi, Hiba, tell everyone the same thing you told me. But I really do it, and I really love if you would just share everything you told me all over again.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So how did we get linked? Basically through Adam, through a friend of ours. And so he put us in touch. He put you in touch with me. And I have never been on a podcast myself. I'm 30 years old, and I got so excited because I love listening in on podcasts, and that's the new thing, I guess, and lives on Instagram, etc. But so for whoever is going to be listening in, my name is Hiba. I'm working for Full House as their head of sales for the North American market. And basically Full House is a furniture and fixture plus OS&E supplier for all hotel operators, short-term rental operators, developers, anyone who has a place that they need to fully furnish. And just recently we opened up the D2C, so anyone who has a personal home that wants to furnish a space. So basically I work with clients every day, on Zoom every day. As you can see, I need this beautiful background. And I have this whole setup now, actually. So I have a ring light and everything. Yeah, go Amazon. So I'm just constantly working with clients. And in the past, I have a background in sales since I was 16, working in retail. And then I was encouraged by a friend of mine when I was living in Newfoundland to just pack up and leave to Montreal and go and study real estate. So I decided to study not only real estate, but also interior design. And that has brought me into the world of hospitality over the years of just working with brokers and working in interior design firms. And I'm like, how do I find the in between? And I found Full House. So with Full House, I'm working in sales and around design and everything hospitality. And that's a bit about me.
So the last time that we talked, I think you said that you were born in Africa, which I think is awesome. You just don't have friends that can say hey, I was born in Africa. That is incredible.
That is so funny. I did not expect that. Yeah. Yes, that is correct. I was born in Africa. I was born in Libya. And my family and I, well, my father, he's a doctor, and he just basically was like, I want my children to have an education in Canada, an English education, get them some passports, etc., the Canadian citizenship, and just give them like a better life. But at the same time, we didn't really pack up everything. He was just like, let's just go see how this goes. And we moved to Canada, and it ended up being permanent, and it's been great so far. So my dad is one of those typical, immigrant fathers who had 4 girls and didn't speak any English. And he kind of had to learn from as he went. And as I got older, I started to think about that, like my first bill ever that I've ever gotten when I got my first apartment in Montreal. I'm like, okay, now I get what my parents went through. Like, this is hard. And imagine having like 4 girls as well, and they're so confused and lost, and you're trying to like pay the bills and learn a new language and be a doctor. So I really give props to all parents that had to do that.
Well, I really wanted to ask you about a moment for you, or maybe multiple moments, as you've figured out who you want to be and where you want to be, what those like ground zero moments look like for you, that like maybe you didn't realize were like low moments, but they actually were pivotal for you to get to the next step. Because I think that those things are the things that we just really don't ever talk about, that probably should be talked about. Like, people don't ever want to slow down and stop and listen to someone else's story. They want the summary. They want to get to, well, how did you get there? Like, I just want to know, like, what would you have to do? But they never want to hear about like the slow process of whatever you had to go through. So can you think of a time or a couple times, like, tell me all your stories about what
Oh my gosh.
like for you?
That's so funny. And actually that comes into our conversation that we were having last time about social media. And like, when I started using, I was on Facebook first, obviously, as everyone was, and then I started using Instagram more. And I had just finished interior design school, just finished real estate, and I started posting like at my new office, and like, those little aesthetic photos back in when Instagram would like, you'd like crop the photo and have like a white border. So like, that was my thing. And I was posting daily, and like, work is so nice, work life. And I'd get a lot of messages from girls like, how did you get such a nice, easy job? It looks like so much fun. And it started like kind of leaving like a bitterness in me, that I was like, you don't know how hard I worked. So, so yeah, a lot of people just like look at Instagram in that way, and like would just be like, oh, wow, your job looks so fun. So I started to just want to do more than just post like, here at the office having a coffee. And so I started to like message these girls and explain to them, or even guys actually, this is what I did. I pushed on LinkedIn. I just started like, I started messaging them and helping them, because for them to just, think this was an easy, fun thing, I'm like, okay, first of all, in Montreal, you need to speak French. And it's been such a challenge to find a job in the first place. So for me, I'm educated from Ontario and Newfoundland. So I never used French. And when I moved to Montreal, I took school, I did interior design and real estate in English. So a lot of people are like, wow, I want to move to Montreal. It looks like so much fun. And I'm like, just bear in mind this. They don't know my student loans. They don't know, the struggles I had, the all-nighters, the nosebleeds from working so hard. Because interior design, I have to say, like, it's not easy at all, especially like I did like an advanced program, and it was like super fast. And it was just like a lot of all-nighters. But like, so that moment, just to like jump back to that, like, a lot of people were asking me those questions, like, how did you get there? It looks so fun. So I just kind of gave them like the breakdown. But what gave me a bit of like tough love was I ended up, just like what you're saying, what made me want to grow more. And so I was like, okay, I want to advance more in interior design. I want to advance more in real estate. So I started messaging people who I was inspired by, and I got some tough love back. So I would ask the same, similar to what these other people are asking. I'm like, I asked this one interior designer, I asked her, oh, hey, can you share with me one of your legal documents? I have a client who wants me to stage a space. I just don't know where to start. And I got like a book long email of like, it's not easy. We've spent a lot of money on our legal documents, look into this book, look into this podcast. I've been working on this for years, and it just destroyed me. And I don't know why it destroyed me. And everyone was telling me like, no, she's giving you a lot of great advice. And I'm like, no, I feel so discouraged. Like, how could I not have figured this out on my own? Look at her, she's working so hard and she's figured this all out. Why am I asking her? I should have figured out my own. So it's a lot of like, when you're hard on yourself, oh my God, I was destroyed. So I was like, okay, forget interior design. Let me focus on real estate. So like, that's the way my mind was working. And then with real estate as well, like it's very competitive to find a position in the real estate world. So, I applied everywhere. And you really have to sell yourself, because sometimes companies are looking for junior because, they don't want to really spend the money on someone who's senior. But at the same time, then there's companies who really want you to be senior and really want you to have the experience and want you to be like be able to do like a bunch of different tasks, but your title is only one. So it's very difficult. It's a lot of like trial and error, but I hope I answered the question properly. I'm kind of like rambling on now.
No, like proper way, but I think going through that and being discouraged and still being able to be like, I'm going to do something else. I'm not going to just not do what I want to do because it's not perfect the first time. Like those are the things that keep us going,
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And definitely whoever's like in your corner as well. Like I was lucky enough that my sisters were like, no, don't be discouraged by that, etc. And like, just, you have to kind of figure out where you want to go from there. So like within the interior design, I figured out, okay, I can't do the technical AutoCAD 3ds Max stuff, but I'm really good at staging and styling a space. Like I can do that. So why am I trying so hard to be at the level of the people that, graduated with me and be exactly in their path? Why don't I try something different? So like I went and I made my own Instagram, like a professional Instagram, and I just focused on styling and staging. So that kind of drove into real estate as well and how they can work together, which got me into my previous role with leasing. And I was able to sell a space that was basically bare bones, like just the studs, and just bare, no floors, no ceiling, basically. And I was like, here's the living room, and this would be your walk-in closet. So it's just like, it's growth. It's a lot of like learning process. But like when you're able to establish like, okay, like for me, I know I cannot go back and learn this program. And a lot of people are like, no, take the time and learn. I'm like, no, I want a 9-to-5 job. Like I need to move now and find this position that works with what I can do. And if I find the time, okay, I'll give it a try. I'll relearn. Otherwise, just leave it with someone who can. That's the way that I am. Like I know what I'm good at, and I'm going to focus on that. Otherwise, I'm going to drive myself crazy.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that for a minute. Having found your success and what feels comfortable for you, and then having outside sources still telling you what you should be doing, even though you're doing something for yourself. It's not that there's anything wrong with taking a break, and I think I'm learning that the hard way right now for myself, but you're doing a lot and people still have opinions. Don't they always have opinions about what you're doing? How do you deal with that whenever you're comfortable with that's what you want, and that's fine? What do you do with that?
I know. I mean, I think it also just like, basically when I tell people, I studied real estate, but I never did my real estate exam, for example, because I never did the real estate exam because I was finishing interior design. And then afterwards I was just hired right away at an interior design company. So I didn't have a moment to stop and do it, but that's my own, like I've accepted that's my own fault that I didn't stop and just take the exam, because then years have gone by now. And I still get reminded from people like, why didn't you do the exam? Why aren't you a broker? And honestly, I'm really happy I never went for it, because I love like the path that I did go on. I love the experience, what I have experienced for my career over the years, I've made so many connections. I've had such a flexible, work hours, and I've met so many cool people. So there's so many benefits in the fact that I didn't do my real estate exam. I didn't become a broker. And now that I'm even older, I'm like, okay, if I become a broker, you have to meet with clients on weekends, you have to do open houses, et cetera. And I give them props to all brokers for doing that. You are a slave to your client. And I know that from experience, because I'm looking for a house, and I'm messaging my broker all the time, and I'm messaging him on weekends and early morning. He's like, okay, can we talk when I'm awake? And basically I'm happy where I am now, because if I do want to start a family, which I do, and I want to be with my kids, I need a flexible job. I need a work remote job, etc. So yes, people are always gonna, ask and wonder, and they're gonna bring it up, but just set your mind on what you want and what you're planning for yourself. And in the end, like, look back on like the good stuff. Like, what have I accomplished while these people were brokers for the past 7 years? What have I done? And it feels good to look back and be like, well, the company I was with benefited me in this. I met with this person. I was able to accomplish this. I was promoted to this. Like, for me, that's really nice. That's an accomplishment. So depends on the person.
I was gonna say, everything that you've done, you positioned yourself so that you can have the family life that you want. Have you had people ask you about, like, because you're 30, when are you gonna have kids, and you're working this, but you should be doing more, but then you have to slow down to have a family? Like, what is that like for you?
That's interesting. I have such a divide in my friends on that point, and my doctor, actually, my own doctor. I'm like, how do I get pregnant? And she's like, can you please relax? You're young. So yeah, I have a straight divide in my friends. I have friends who are like, you're young, like, wait, work on your career, focus on that. And then I have friends who are like, when? And I don't mind either. Honestly, my husband is totally cool with me getting promoted and getting a job and starting our own company maybe in like years down the road. And like, these are things that like make us work as a partnership. So any other voices doesn't matter to me. Like, someone telling me, oh, your career is going so well, that's awesome, I'm like, yay, that's great. And then another friend who's telling me, when are you gonna have kids? I'll be like, I don't know, let's start planning. So I'm totally cool with any of it, because in the end, it's my decision with my husband, period.
Right. So what would you say to people that are like, well, why don't you have your own interior design business? Or why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Like, I'm sure that's had to have come up. What is that like for you?
I get it all the time. I get so many conversations where people are like, oh, why didn't you think of this? I'm like, no. Like, I get it a lot. Like, and they mean well. A lot of my friends are like, oh, look at this company, why don't you do this? And my husband's even one of them. It's like, oh, why didn't we think of this? I'm like, I know. And years ago, I was making like a list of like possible, entrepreneur ideas and possible business ideas, and making names of these companies. And so many of them, I'm so happy I didn't go for, because of COVID, actually. Like, just before COVID, I was, my husband and I, we were thinking of opening a store. So I really wanted to open a decor store, and I had a very specific concept. I had the whole design in mind. We started looking at commercial spaces, and then COVID hit, and it's like, thank God we didn't go for it, because that would have been such a risk and so much money just like gone. So we didn't go for that. We're looking at other opportunities, other ideas. And I think sometimes I get a little bit bothered when people are like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I'm like, it's not that like easy. And I hate to say that. Like, I'm sure many other women are like, yes, it is easy, let's go. But
why don't you do everything? Have kids, run a business, work this, don't work that. Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and you must get it a lot as well. Like, this isn't just about me. Like, I told you when I first met you, I'm like, holy crap. Like, you've kids, you have your partner, you have your place, your job is like growing. And I'm like, why are you interviewing me again? I'm like, let's just switch roles.
For me, like, I don't know, it really wasn't, organized or smooth at all. Like, I love your story because it's like, I want to do this, and I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to, it's like for you, I wish it would have been that easy for me in some like regard, because I just feel like you've had nothing but like upward opportunities. But then for me on the other side, I've had a lot of those ground zero moments too, where like it's not perfect, it's hard with kids, you don't see like the crying behind everything. Like I'm happy April every day, but like it's hard, especially as a non-traditional student, where like I just graduated with my degree 2 weeks ago almost.
Wow,
And
congrats.
thank you. And I just turned 29 a month ago. So like it's really weird for me that I'm coming up on like I'm almost 30. I just graduated. I've got kids. And then even when you do have kids and then you have a partner, you there's so many rules you have to follow. If you even want to try to be successful, you have to work this many hours, but you can't cross this income. But if you have someone who's contributing financially in the home, then you're not eligible for this or eligible for that. But if you work harder to get to what you need, then you don't have this. So it's like, it's very difficult. And I think the hardest part for me whenever I was deciding like I want to do something more for myself when I had kids, trying to figure out what all of this looks like, because at the time I was working 3 and 4 jobs at once.
Yeah, you told me. Crazy.
Yeah, I was like, Jay was like, you cannot do this anymore. Like, you need to slow down. And I was like, no, I'm the winner. Like, I make more money than you. I have to, right? That's how I've always been. I've always taken care of myself. I've always had my name on the apartment. It's me, right? But handing over a little bit of that control while also trying to figure out where I can find success for myself and like make it work for everyone was incredibly difficult. So when I decided that it was going to be a good opportunity to go back to college, the hardest part for me was the mom shamming. And I didn't think that was even like a real thing, right? Like I thought, you know, I didn't, even if it would have been, I would never think that the people that I thought I was closest to would have problems with me doing something for myself that I'm excited about. The conversation was never, oh, April, what do you want to do with that? Or are you excited? It was, you're selfish. You're going to leave your kids in daycare all day and you're only worried about yourself. And I'm like, I can't believe that like this is the conversation. It's not like, April, what are you thinking? And how do you feel about daycare? And what are your thoughts about this or that? Like no one wanted to ask me how it is. They just wanted to ask me what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong or whatever. It's like, you know, even if I have an idea of something new that I want to try, I feel like I can't even talk about it because it's either going to be a shock and it's like, okay, well, no one ever asked me what my interests are, or they're just going to put it down and think, oh, well, that's unreachable. You have kids or whatever, you know? So yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. That was like a little bit of like a long-winded answer. I don't even know if that was a question. I just kind of went on.
No. Well, it's funny because I totally get you, because I also, when I got my new job, you know, some people were like, yeah, that's so exciting. It's perfect for you. And then others were like, but is it remote? And the ones that asked me if it was remote, if it's like work from home, if it's remote, you know, they had kids. So I think, and they knew that like, it's a topic that we're discussing. Like I told you, I'm open to someone telling me, oh, are you looking into kids? And I'm open to the other. So they knew that I'm open to it. So they're like, but is it work from home? And I'm like, yes, it is. So it's just interesting how, you know, you got the same, I think it really just depends on the people that, so yeah, we're gonna get those responses from many people as long as you know what you want. And even if you don't know what you want, as long as you're open for the conversation and just, you know, stand with yourself and be confident in yourself, you're able to answer those conversations.
Yeah. Can I actually tell you that I had a very similar experience to this in like the last 2 weeks? So I pivoted. Things are a little different than what I had planned. I was planning on going to grad school, right? Because that's the expected next step. Like you graduate and now you go to grad school because that's like what you're supposed to do, right?
Okay.
And like my advisor at school, he had asked me, he was like, why are you getting your MBA? And it's like the simplest question. And I was kind of like, well, because you're supposed to, right? Like that, I don't want to slow down the momentum of what I'm doing, right? I just want to keep going. Right. And he looked at me and he was like, I'm not looking for a specific answer. Like you answer, but I kind of felt like I had to give that certain answer, you know what I mean? So I really thought about it and I was like, okay, that's really not like, that's not what April wants. That's really not what I want to do. So I love film and I love making fun videos just because. And I think that I've learned that a lot of companies and businesses, because of COVID, need to learn how to show their product or service online. And there's such a need, and they don't know how to do it. And I was like, I'm good at this. I can do this. I never realized you could even have a job doing that, because
Absolutely.
that's kind of like my version, never work a day in your life, because sitting behind a computer and editing and making something beautiful and creating is something that I love. So come a week and a half ago when it was graduation day and I was telling my professor, hey, I'm doing this now. When I told them what it was, they were like, oh, that's new. I was accepted to film school. Okay, I applied and got in last minute, and they were like, what? Where did this come from? And it's like, well, nobody ever asked me what I liked. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if we would just have conversations with each other and ask each other how, you know, what are your interests? What do you like? What do you not like? Like, not that I'm putting my school down in any way, but like, those are the questions that I think should have been answered upon graduating. And I'm 7 years older than the traditional graduate. So like, what does that mean for younger people who are looking to figure out what their next steps look like, who are worried about, well, I've got to balance this with this. This is what's expected, but this is what I want. Like, but then I have to
They
show
don't teach, yeah.
on social media, and that's like a whole nother thing. Like, sorry, this
That's
is like,
your new, it's the new resume. Yeah, no, but it's true. It's kind of what we were discussing before as well. It's like they don't teach us this in school. They don't give us this like heads up in school. And like, especially with like your case, you had to kind of make a decision and go back to school. And you wanted more on your resume. You wanted more work. And that's like a drive that not all of us have, which is awesome. But then, but they don't really explain it all to us. Like in interior design school, they didn't explain you know, how to start a business. And like, that should be like one of the main courses, like how to be independent in once you finished your field and like your program, you should be able to start your own business. But everyone was just passing out resumes to other companies. And, you know, you have the, I want to be my own boss mentality. And that's awesome. And I think that that's something that's growing with so many people because of social media as well. So it's good that you found, you know, a way to monetize through Instagram and work there. So that's very good, because it is the new trend, putting your work and CV basically on Instagram and show everyone your daily life. So,
well, this is very new for me. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I think there's something inside where I've always wanted to like share what I like. And then there's a part of me that feels like I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to like this, or I'm going to be looked at funny if I admit that I just bought a Britney Spears sweatshirt a couple weeks ago before I turned 29, because it makes me feel young. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm almost 30. Like, this is how I feel, like, you know, happy. This is like my space. This is like the younger me in my bedroom listening to music, dreaming, where I feel free. Like, this is probably way too deep of an emotion to have over a damn hoodie, but like, you know, like, I haven't posted anything about
totally
it.
get it. Yeah, that's so true. And I used to like post constantly, like I was showing every little bit of my life, but it wasn't for anyone else. It was just because I was enjoying it. And then it became like, oh, a lot of people are watching. Oh, I have to do it a certain way. Oh, this doesn't look really on trend. And then I stopped. So it is like a lot of pressure with Instagram for sure. And like, what should I show? And should I, like, I do a post of like an aesthetic look of like my workspace. I'm like, delete. Like, why do I have to show this? Like, why do I have this need that I need to like prove it to someone? But there is, and there's always going to be that pressure. Like, I went silent on my recent Instagram profile, my professional profile, because I just needed like a social break. And there's like a lot going on social media right now, currently, with conflicts in the Middle East. And like, it's a lot, it's very heavy. And so I felt like this isn't the time, like I'm reading the room, and it isn't the time to use my professional Instagram and like post like a work pic. So I've just been like focused on like what's going on in the world right now, and like just center on that. And that's heavy on its own. But yeah, there is gonna always be that pressure to like, do I have to show everyone all the accomplishments I've done? Do I have to name them all off? And yeah, that's definitely gonna live with us forever as long as technology is there. There's no way of fighting it. You can try and be private, but there's always gonna be that social pressure.
Well, at the same time, I also feel like social media is almost like an excuse not to have a conversation. You know, I realized that people see what I post, like the update, and they feel like, oh, well, that's what April's doing, so I don't have to call and ask what's up because she posted that, right? As if there's nothing.
That's
If you know
I'm
what I mean?
guilty of that.
Oh
I
no.
am totally guilty of that. I 100% am. I've said it for years. I'm like, oh, I'm so happy I have Instagram to stay in touch with my friends and like I know what they're up to. And I used to put pressure on like I'm guilty of it for sure. I used to pressure a friend of mine in Newfoundland and I would tell her like, post more. I want to know what's going on in your life. Like I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I didn't just pick up a phone and call her or like Skype or WhatsApp call or whatever. And instead, I'm like, you don't post enough. I don't know what's going on in your life. Like, totally, I was guilty of it. But I was guilty of it because I had 3 Instagram accounts. Like, I literally was all out Instagram. Yeah. And now I'm down to 2.
What were the 3? Yeah.
So I had one mainly for like leasing real estate, another for the design. And then I had my private personal one. And I'm like, okay, forget the private one. It's too cluttered. So I deleted it. And then the design one, I ignored it for years and I focused on the real estate one and mixed it with personal aesthetically. And then now I'm like focusing heavily on the styling staging because I'm using it for my new position with Full House. So I'm educating people on Full House. I'm getting them more interested. I'm posting, stylish photos, but I'm also using it to promote when I'm on Clubhouse. So I do like, a little promo, remember to join us, etc. But I was speaking to the CEO, Andrea, just yesterday. I was telling her, like, sometimes I really just need a social break. She's like, do it. Like, it's fine. I'm like, I can't constantly be promoting and say life is great and everything's going so well when like I'm trying to finish tasks and I have clients to meet with and, you're exhausted by the end of the day. And then there's dishes and laundry and like,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. I felt so crazy about it too a couple months ago when I really started doing like co-branding and the affiliate stuff. I mean, it's fun and there's such like an adrenaline that comes along with it because you're starting to like make friends and build a little bit of a community for yourself. And it's like, okay, you take a couple days off for a week and it's gone. So you almost feel like I've got to keep up with it. If I take time for myself and I'm not on my phone, then I'm going to lose this. And it was hard for me to get to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to admit that I'm just really not enjoying this right now because I wasn't getting to all those other things like dishes. Okay, dishes weren't sitting, but they were sitting longer than I'd like them to.
Exactly.
And then I've got like homework, I've got emails, I've got kids to take care of, I've got grocery shopping, and that's like a 4-hour experience in itself between going there, getting everything, putting everything away. And it's like, I don't want to be worried about the damn phone. Like I kind of just want to get organized in my own life and not feel like I have to show something. And at the same time, I really didn't have anything to show. And I was like, I don't want to feel like I need to go and take a fancy picture that's not even really a real depiction of what's going on in my life right now. But I also don't want to carry laundry or my dishes either. So like, I really just don't want to do this. So I
totally agree.
Yeah, I just stopped. And it actually, I feel so good. And the people who stick with you are still going to be there. Like, I feel like they're going to understand we're all like a part of this world. And at the same time, like, while I have taken those breaks, I realized that I'm doing much more like productive things while I'm not on my phone. It's like no one sees the projects I'm working on behind all of that. And I feel like it's important to immerse yourself in that important work, whatever it is for you, before you're going to show it off all day long and talk. Like, I want to show something. And I know we talked about this before too. I want to have something of value to show people. I don't really want to show them my outfit every day. I mean, I don't have cute enough clothes to like keep that consistent. So like, I don't want that to be my brand or my style, but then figuring out what that is like important to me. Like, I really want to show up with something super cool that I'm working on, but like, I'm just not ready for that yet. It's not developed enough before I'm ready to like show every single thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I've seen people who are constantly, daily on their phone, and they literally show us every breath they take on their phones. And sure, that is what they have chosen. I don't feel like it's a way of enjoying life around you at all. Um, if it's their full-time job, sure. This is your full-time job on your phone, influencing and showing everyone every step you take. Okay, fine. That's your job. But like, I do find that it causes, maybe not everyone, for me it did, and I had to mute a few people because it just was like this social pressure of like, oh, well, I'm working hard too. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm in meeting after meeting. Like, not only you are working, so like I get on this have to like justify to myself, and like I don't know why I do that. So like it gets very frustrating. You're seeing these people like posting so easily and like, this is my day and this is what I'm doing today and all the work I did, and you're like, work? Let me show you work. But it gets very exhausting though. It's like mentally draining, and I'm like, why am I trying to prove something right now? So instead I just muted, and I just want to post when I feel good, and I just want to share when I actually have something valuable to share, even if it's just my coffee. Honestly, like sometimes I feel a lot of people like my coffee stories and my coffee posts. Everyone's like, post more. So I made it like a reel of like pouring coffee and pouring foam. Yeah, it was my first reel ever. I'm like 2K views. Is that possible?
God, what is your handle? Because I think you were gonna send it to me before and I didn't get it. So how do I find you?
On Instagram, it's Copper and Cushions. And the reason of that name is because that's what I wanted my store to be called. Because I wanted to sell like little small decor pieces, like nothing huge. So it just kind of stuck. And I was like, I don't want my name as my handle. I already have that for my other one. So I just wanted something very like decor oriented. So it's Copper and Cushions, and it's my only little reel. But yeah.
That's so cute. I've never even done a reel yet. Honestly, I'm scared and I feel like it's hard, and I just haven't.
No, it was so much fun. I was so against reels. I was so against them. I even did a poll once on my personal one. I'm like, who hates reels? And like all these people liked it. And I'm like, I hate reels too. And then months later, I'm like, oh, I hate reels because I don't have it updated on my other Instagram. So I don't have the version that you can like pause and like by holding it down and see the larger scale. But then on my professional, I don't know why, my professional Instagram, it is updated. So I can actually see reels properly. So I'm like, oh, let me just try making one. And it was actually a lot of fun.
Well, something else that people really hate is like getting behind the phone and doing a live or doing a story. And I know you had said before that you like led in Clubhouse. Talk to me.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Oh, my horror story of Clubhouse. So for Clubhouse, I joined Clubhouse to see what was up, see who's there, what's going on. And it was nice. It's a lot of like company owners. It's not really how can I explain? It's a lot of people that, have time. That's how I can best explain it. They have time. This is their job. They are running their own company, and they have time to promote and work and network on Clubhouse. So they do these calls for like an hour to like 4 hours, just talking. And so like I would jump into some of these audio conversations, and I'd have to leave because like I have work, I have meetings, my battery is dying. Like literally, I don't know how they're sitting there for hours. So, but I'm telling my, the team that I work with, I've heard some really great combos. I've made some great connections, and I think I want to start my own group or my own event. Before I could do that, a woman that I had connected with, she asked me if I could be a co-host with her. So I had figured that this experience would be, me, just like the other events that I was listening in on, I just sit back and kind of like wait for the conversation to go my way. And if I have something to add or like something to give to the audience and like give them some takeaway, I jump in. Nope. When the call started, it was all about me. And the worst part was I had only been with Full House at the time for like a month and a half. So I didn't know that much about the company, and I didn't feel confident enough to like represent the company. So she was speaking about me as if I was the founder. And what's funny is the owner and founder and CEO was in the audience listening in. So it was so much pressure. I was fumbling over everything I was saying. It was a terrible experience for myself. No one else felt that I messed up except for myself. And of course, that comes back in our conversations before, just like we're doing this to ourselves. But then I was like, no, I can do this. I need to set up my own Clubhouse event. So I set my own event, and I had her, the woman that I had brought me on the first initial one, I had her as a co-host and like 5 others. And it was basically like, let's ask the experts. So I had my questions ready. I had everything set up. I had like 3 bottles of water so my voice didn't crack. And I just hosted the event, and I kept it fluid. I kept it moving. I was a moderator. That's what they call it on Clubhouse. And after the event, even before it had ended, Ellie, who was there, she got so excited in the event when I was closing it that she said, "Oh my God, this is so freaking amazing!" And she got, because she told me, like, they told me after, and they told me during the event, they're like, that was so much fun and casual. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it should be. It should be super casual and relaxed. And so I've done like 2 others after that. So I just promote on Instagram when I can. But yeah,
So
that's what I'm doing on Clubhouse. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You need to get on it. I'm going to send you an invite.
Okay, wait, I'm on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I'm on Clubhouse. I just have.
Oh, okay.
So like, how do we find you on Clubhouse? What is that?
Oh my God, it's true. So my handle on Clubhouse, what is it? Oh, so it's hiba.fullhouse.
Okay.
So hiba.fullhouse, FULHAUS. And I will only I'll jump in calls or events. I'll jump into events that are anything around hospitality, design, real estate. I like to listen in on the real estate talks, even though I'm not a broker. But it's just great to network. It's great to hear what's happening in the housing market. And then for hospitality, you network with a lot of hospitality operators and STR owners. So it's great to network there and just find out what are the problems and what solutions do we have. Yeah. So that's what's great about Clubhouse. Yeah.
I really have.
Yeah, you can find me there. Sorry?
I will look it up. I need to. So I want to jump back a little bit to like the ground zero moments we were talking about. So for anyone, I don't care if they're 18 or if they're 29, 30 like us, what is your best advice for someone who is trying to figure out their own way, but they're also in the middle of this social media world? And they have people telling them what they should be doing and battling what you want and allowing yourself, like, what would you say to those people?
Oh my, there is no easy answer for that. Like, it's difficult because of social media, because I didn't have the pressure then when I was searching for jobs or when I was trying to figure out what I want to do with my career and who should I network with and how should I find that position. Now with social media, it's a lot more pressure. People are like, oh, maybe I want to start a fashion store. And, and there's a lot of YouTubes about that, and you can do it. And there is this pressure of like, maybe I should be my own boss, but you can do that. And there are ways of doing that. So like, I think just like narrow down what you want and understand that everything on Instagram is not what it seems. And like, it is a lot harder. There is a lot of money to be invested in it, a lot of time. You have to just prioritize. Like, I have a friend who's my hairstylist. I love her. She's amazing at what she does with hair. And she decided that, I can't do hair forever. I want to start my own company with my girlfriends. So they invested like $5,000 and they're launching it just next week, a clothing line. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you, but will you still do my blonde hair? So this is crucial. I'm like, wait, girl, you will still do house calls. Okay, great. So it's like, there is no simple answer. Like, she did fashion marketing in school, and then she did hair because she's extremely talented with that, like extreme. The only person that like could do my blonde in Montreal for years, I searched, and she's the only one that understood what I wanted. And now she wants to do fashion and like, you know, have her own brand and have her own company with her two girlfriends. And that's awesome. So like, you are gonna, like, for anyone 18, 20, etc., you're gonna see this. Like, you're gonna find your path. I have not met, like, even when you said that my career seemed to be like this, it was not. Like, I worked for a cabinetry company, and then I worked for a magazine, and then I worked for a broker, and then I was a leasing manager. Like, I was always in design and sales, but I didn't like where I was in one position, or I didn't feel like I'm using all my talent in another. And, you know, I needed to keep growing. So one thing that I would say, if you're ever in a position or a career where you're just sitting there and you're like, but this isn't what I'm passionate for, just stop and like think, where do I want to work? Where is my goal? And then you literally can just call that company and ask them, are you hiring? And one thing I love to use is LinkedIn, and I will go FBI mode on LinkedIn. Like, I will find out who the CEO is, find their number, email them, message them on LinkedIn, follow up until I have a call with them, until I have a meeting with them, because you need to. Like, if I was sitting there in that magazine company thinking, number one, this is going to go bankrupt, and number two, this is not what I'm passionate for. I'm just holding myself back. And so I messaged a real estate broker, like a top broker here in Montreal. And I'm like, I want to learn from you. Like, can I come in and meet you? So I would just say, like, right now, whoever is listening, or whoever, whatever age you are, it doesn't, like, your path will go wherever it goes, but just like think, am I really passionate in what I'm doing right now? Am I happy? Is this getting me what I need? Some people don't really have that luxury though. Some people are like, I need to pay the bills, so I need to do these 3 jobs. So not everyone fits in this category, but if there's some way that you can get something out of it, or find a way to create your own side business or side hustle, do it. That's what I would say.
I love that. Honestly, I'm learning that the simplest things that we can tell ourselves are the most monumental for change. How you said, you know, if you're sitting there and you know that what you're doing isn't what you love, that's huge to me. I kind of wish someone would have said that to me 6 months ago, because taking an internship or being a part of something that it's like, I feel like I need to do this because I have nothing else going on, or no one else offered me anything, so I'm going to jump into this, but then you're stuck. So it's like, say you waited 2 weeks or did a little bit more digging like you, and you figure out what you actually want to do. Like, the world is like a white blank canvas, and you have every color to paint it whatever you want. Like, you don't have to take anything less than what you absolutely want. And I love that you said that, because that hits me hard. And I like, we're almost the same age, you know? So for someone younger, giving them the permission to be like, I don't love this and I want to do something else, I think that's huge. That you don't have to,
totally,
just because you feel like you're not allowed to do anything more than what's right in front of you. Because with COVID, you can go as far as you want. Everything, you know, there's so many opportunities, like, you're not stuck.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I couldn't think of those moments when you asked me before, but now I can literally actually remember sitting in a broker's office and thinking, I am actually doing nothing. I'm sitting here. I could kill time and just like shuffle things around, because I'm not being used how I should be used. And not until my last week with that broker did they realize that, like, I'm great at sales, and they should have put me on sales call, and they should have, you know, used me more for sales opportunities, and they did not. So I wish they had used that opportunity for me, because that was the whole point. I wanted to grow and learn and learn how to do sales, etc. But they were just, you know, asking me to do administrative tasks, which weren't great. So something that I would also mention to anyone, you know, if you feel like you're not getting fully what you were looking to get with that position, just ask them for more tasks. Literally tell them, I can do more. And I wish I had said that, but instead I just went and found another job.
No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I've always been the person where I have to like keep my head down, mouth closed, do what I'm told. And I'm like, why don't I just do and say what I want? You know, like, it's okay.
It is so, yeah. It's so difficult. I was the same exact way. I'm like, I shouldn't say this. And then when you do say it, you are, well, that can be a whole other conversation. But if you say too much, you know, you're seen as a bit bossy, or you're seen like you're not like following your leader, or etc. So there's so many fine lines. But I feel like women and men now are able to, you know, they have the confidence of how to speak in professional situations. I think because of social media, like a lot of people are gaining more confidence, but then it also has like a bad side to it, and some people are losing confidence perhaps and feeling a little bit more social pressure. But I think a lot of people are learning to like speak better and communicate better and be on live chats. So I wish I kind of had that, because I've had a lot of nervous moments and presentations that my voice was shaking, etc., like my Clubhouse call. But when I actually can see like your expression, and I can do Zoom calls, no problem. I feel like you're right here in front of me, and then like the call will end and I'm like, where'd she go? So I can do face to face.
I'm a little disappointed because you live, like, actually, you don't really live that far away, but I'm like, when I first talked to you, I was like, this girl is my soul sister, and I wish that she was closer. Like, I want to hang out with her. Like, now it's the beauty of doing things like this, because I'm like, I don't have a lot of support here in my little circle, but doing this and meeting so many other people and hearing everyone's stories, because I genuinely want to listen and learn, is incredible. So I can't recommend doing this enough in a way that's comfortable or timely for your life, whatever that looks like, because it's great for me, and I like wouldn't trade it. And now I have a forever friend. And
yes, of course, and we're connected. I'll check in on you.
So I want to know, how can we all find you? One more time. I'll make sure that I put it up on the screen. But for anyone listening, how can we connect with you?
Yes. So professionally, I want to start with LinkedIn, because I know a lot of people will just say like their social media handles, but like LinkedIn is excellent if you want to ask me anything regarding careers, or, you know, who should I contact? How should I make a list of like where to go from here? What is a great opener? What's a great template to send to possible bosses in the future, like possible companies? You can connect with me on LinkedIn. So it's just my first name, last name, Hiba Magrabi, Magrabi. For LinkedIn, you can just find me there. And I'm based in Montreal. And then otherwise for social media, I mean, I have my private one, but for my public one, it is Copper and Cushions, and plural. You'll find me. And for Clubhouse, it's very focused on Full House. So it's hiba.fullhouse. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. And I just want to say too, before we go, you know, anyone that's listening that has a story that they want to tell, you know, whatever that ground zero moment looks like, something that you think that you just want to share or people can learn from, I would absolutely love to hear it. Let's do an episode together. So feel free anytime at April Munson at aprilmunson@protonmail.com. And yeah, let's set it up. So thank you, Hiba, so much for being here and for sharing with me and everyone listening. And I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And we'll talk soon. Hopefully, though, maybe we'll do another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I would love, because like, I'm like, this is only my third time doing this. So a year from now, if this looks totally different, I would love to bring back like the first 3 and be like, so look where we are to where we were a year ago.
I love that. We'll do it. I'm so down.
So yeah, let's do it. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, great.